realistically, how often it would what we've talked about be practical and sustainable, as differentiated from ideal in a fairy tale world where money and time were no object?
Yeah. Ideally, as I said, like I think weekly is a good check-in because for some people, they can obviously text you anytime and everything, and you can get back to them in 48 hours or something like that.
Hmm.
But weekly is enough for a lot of people. Because again,
Hmm.
if you're working with a lot of companies or a lot of people within a company, they themselves require the time to process these things. They themselves require the time to understand what is the challenge. And by asking you, sometimes that itself helps them put it in the right words to contradict themselves and understand that, wait, why is this challenging right now? If they put it in the right words, like, because they don't want to send you a message that doesn't make sense. So they would try to send you a detailed message. They would
Hmm.
break it down. And even if they go through it overall and you reply to them, that's great. But even if they read the whole thing and you take about 2 days to reply, and you read that message, unless it's very critical, and there can always be an avenue where they can send emergency messages and everything. And that should be available as and when possible. And you should have a system where you're able to reply to them as quickly. But
Hmm.
to the general stuff, which mostly is generally, because generally in leadership or in companies, you never really run into complex stuff or extreme emergency things all the time. It does happen, but it's not a regular thing. So for those things, I think people themselves need to become self-independent, and that's added
Hmm.
to the leadership development that is happening, where they're also able to ask for solutions, but when they're able to put it in words, they are themselves able to figure out exactly where they need help, and maybe they take the steps themselves to be like, you know what, I need help here. I need to ask this person. Because
Hmm.
when by putting it in words, you're like, okay, I don't know this thing, but I think I know who might be able to help me with this thing. And if it's
Right.
you, then that's great. And they can reply back like, let's say you're the leader and everything. You're like, hey Tim, I need some help with this thing. Can you please get back to me quickly? And they can send a follow-up message and everything, and then that can be
Hmm.
taken to you. But yeah.
Right. I like that. Quite a long time ago, I put up some content to that. It was like, ask yourself for advice. And
Yeah.
shortly after that, I listened to a book that said exactly the same thing, that done right, you can sort of done right, you can give yourself basically one and a
Mm.
half opinions. Just even
Yes.
putting it down, saying, if my best friend asked me this question,
Yeah.
if my closest colleague asked me this question, what advice would I give them? And as you
Yeah.
said, even articulating it allows you to be reflect on it, and to use the word that I'm really fond of, well,
Yeah.
scientifically and not really metaphysically, but it's oftentimes mistaken as that. It's just
Yeah.
mindfulness. It's a huge part of doing things well, self leadership as well
Yeah.
as others leadership. Okay, next one. That is, let's see if my rewording on this is better or not. How do you envision the course, that is what
Yeah.
we've been talking about so far,
Yeah.
addressing specific cultural or leadership challenges within an organization?
Um, can you just repeat that again?
Yes, that's why I need to reword the damn thing. So this is, again, I think you've already answered it, and I have no way of anticipating that. I just want
Yeah.
to cover my bases. So it's like,